you everyone for coming. Like Leanne said, Control4 is the sponsor of this panel, and Control4 is a smart home technology company. We specialize in whole home automation through a operating system that functions as the platform that connects all the technology, or almost all the technology in your home together into one easily accessible platform. And wellness is something that is at the forefront of the conversation we're having in the tech space. And as we know, it's also at the forefront of the conversation happening in the kitchen and bath space. And so having this opportunity to bring all these panelists together to talk about those intersections and how those things are happening and how we can improve wellness in the home is extremely important. So thank you all for joining us. We were all introduced, but I'd like to go down the row first and kind of everyone can say how they're here, why they're here, what's most important to them about wellness, and then we'll go into the questioning.
Hi, my name's Julie Jacobson. Wow, this sounds really loud. My name's Julie Jacobson. I am the founding editor of CE Pro magazine, which is the leading publication or media company for home technology integrators. Goes out to about 30,000 home technology integration companies. I've been doing that since 1994, before we even really had email. And then we are in the process of launching a wellness brand called Wellscapes. So we'll have wellscapes.com up and running shortly. And appreciate KBIS for having me here today.
I'm Brad Montgomery. I'm with Time Smart Homes and Home Theaters based out of Salt Lake City, Utah, but servicing clients nationwide. We're a custom home technology design and installation firm. I serve as their creative director, which is sort of a made-up term for our industry. My job is to make them look good. I do their graphics, their photography. You'll see some of our photos here today, but thrilled to be here.
I'm Natalia Pierce, kitchen and bath design specialist. Wellness, for me, means basically expanding the experience of a client's home and making it suitable for them long term. It's not about what we like as designers, but more about what we can do for a person and an individual in their home and make it last. So.
Good morning, everybody. Michael Kaestner, Kaestner Designs in Philadelphia. I'm very proud to be here as part of this panel. I never knew that when I graduated college with a degree in health and exercise science and soon went on to be a kitchen and bath designer, because that's not normal, right? That it would come full circle and I'd be able to actually bring to life some of the information that I studied years ago that is now becoming more relevant by the day. We have a lot of topics to cover, so I won't take any more time, but I thank you all for coming.
Awesome. So wellness is, like I said, and we all said, a very hot topic right now. But I wanted to take a few minutes and explore what wellness means. Natalia, you talked about it a little bit in your introduction. If you want to start out, and then we can all chime in.
Sure. It has a lot to do with understanding your client, understanding what their needs are, what maybe some of their challenges are, what their frustrations are in their home. Is it lighting? Is it functionality? Is it the integration of moving from space to space? And developing solutions that can give them that comfort, that safety, that longevity that they're going to be able to spend in their home for decades, and a design that's going to be intuitive, that works with how they work. And that's the biggest thing.
Yeah, I agree. Julie, as a CE Pro, do you think you could kind of share how you've seen that intersection going on?
Yeah, and we actually sort of split it up into parts. Since we've been doing this for about 30 years, wellness really, until the past 5 years in our world, in the smart home community, has really tended to be more about the aging, aging and senior living and independent living, and medication dispensing and activity, monitoring people in their homes to make sure they're safe and healthy and eating and opening their medications. But it's really evolved over the past years, and so I have kind of a list here. So the healthy home now is about indoor air quality, mold mitigation, getting rid of pollutants, products that don't off-gas as much, so it's about maintaining clean air in the home. It's also about the quality of life, so bringing joyfulness and sociability and togetherness into the household has a big impact on health and wellness. Comfort is a big one, and there's all sorts of research, a lot of evidence about acoustical comfort and climate comfort, lighting comfort, all of those elements in the home. And I know the technologists here can speak to how to incorporate that. Comfort is a big factor in health and wellness. And then finally, the thing I've been working on the past year is biophilic design. The fact that we evolved over hundreds of thousands of years to live outdoors, not just part of the time, but 100% of the time. So everything about our DNA, everything about our chemistry is built for outdoor living, and yet we are indoors for 90% of the time. So again, on the research, I wasn't interested in this until I saw all the evidence and the research about bringing nature indoors, and whether that's real nature, like living plant walls, or views of nature, or simulations of nature, especially through digital technology. So circadian lighting that mimics the actual conditions of the outdoors, sounds of nature, visuals of nature and trees, climate that mimics the heat flow and the coolness during the day, just like circadian lighting. So those are sort of how we break it up within our smart home community.
Yeah, I'd say, Brad, I think you could speak to some of the non-traditional tech approaches to this biophilia approach to wellness.
Our attitude is that your home should rise up and greet you when you walk in, and if that can be done through technology integration, then that's what we want to do. Lighting is probably the biggest thing that we're seeing right now in terms of requests from clients. They want to have the low voltage lighting, but with the tunable features. So in the morning, you're getting the higher Kelvin temperature, that brighter bluer light that wakes you up, invigorates you, gets you going. But in the evening, that gradually becomes a warmer tone, activating your circadian rhythm, helping you kind of calm down and rest from the day. And that's the biggest thing that we're seeing right now in terms of as awareness grows, as people realize that this is something they can have in their home. It is a little bit cost prohibitive at this point. It started more as a kind of a commercial solution coming in. We have a home in Boca Raton that we're outfitting. In fact, my brothers would be here in the audience, but they are there on site with that project today. But that's where we're seeing a lot of that, and the audio, the way that audio can, in one respect, your home technology can create sort of a noise-canceling headset for you from the outside world in terms of the noise from work, the noise from the news. But it can connect you with nature if you're using nature sounds. If you're just, nothing puts a smile on someone's face like hearing your favorite music, your favorite song, when you're working in your kitchen. We have clients who will we'll outfit the entire home where they're going to be with speakers so they can do a podcast, and anywhere they walk, they've got that. If they want their music, their playlist, but that really seems to connect people to an elemental level.
That's awesome. And something that's been touched on a little bit is before there was this concept of aging in place, and that's evolved through this wellness movement, I feel, to be more living in place. And we have 2 CLIPS certified people on the panel today. And so, Michael, do you think you could share a little bit about what that transition is, what living in place is, and how these concepts tie into that?
We're really on the dawn of evolving with the way we approach our clients. And though most of us may feel that we kind of have a bulletproof approach because we're successful and we make money and clients rave about us, it's been an implicit goal of mine for the last couple of years, and especially after getting CLIP certified, that I've broadened the breadth of my vetting process with my clients in my initial interview, and up down to the questionnaire I sent out to them prior to meeting them after a discovery call. And the key ingredient in all of this for any of us designers is really turning over all the potential stones, and it involves having hard conversations with people. You may, we meet a client and you notice that the husband is a wheelchair user, but no one's talking about it. We don't know what his limitations are. Perhaps the daughter-in-law comes to stay with them and has an autistic child. How is our design going to affect that child? And we use the term visitability, meaning anyone in our family or friends who come to our home, does it rise up to meet them? Does it greet them? Does it feel natural? Does it feel comforting? And homes have to have a sense of beauty that brings us back to alleviating the stress in our lives and feeling grounded. And we talk about wellness. Well, the opposite of that obviously is disease and dysfunction and pain and things that happen to us later in life. Perhaps we can really abate a lot of those symptoms and situations from happening by creating that homeostasis in our lives and in our homes presently, or encouraging our clients to maybe spend a little bit more on this and give that scientific data as backup so that they understand the ramifications of making bad choices now and how they'll end up spending more money down the road by not making the positive changes in their lives. So we really have, through the smart technology, through wellness that is very inherent in this year's show, we have a lot of tools at our disposal. So I encourage everyone to really talk to people and engage with them and dig a little deeper with your clients. And I think you'll find that your businesses will thrive and will provide better service.
Natalia, have you seen, or do you have any examples of how recently wellness has been increasing in your business and in your interaction with clients?
I think so. People are becoming more aware of the effects of their environment. And because we do spend so much more time indoors, creating that environment that gives you those benefits. So the lighting is huge. People are starting to understand that the lighting technology has evolved to the point where you've got less voltage, but you still don't have to sacrifice lumen. So again, increasing the quality of light is probably one of the biggest aspects. Layers of lighting so that you don't have, I do a lot of under cabinet lighting in bathrooms so that you've got floor lighting that's on a motion sensor. So you don't have that, that nighttime trip to the bathroom and get blasted with, 4,000 Kelvin, 16 watt, you've got 16 pot lights in a room. A lot of it is also creating intuitive layouts so that when people are using their space, it allows them to not have to look for things or stumble through finding things. I don't know how much time of my life I've lost looking for stuff, but it's one of those things that, like you were saying, it's a frustration if you have to start your day off that way, then it just kind of sets the tone. So if you have a home that reflects the way you function and your rhythm, then it blends to that, and it also helps with the wellness.
So that really is an interesting concept, the idea of adapting to the home or adapting to the people living in the home. And I think there's a visibility concept that comes out of seeing the people there in their each unique state. And I want Julie and Brad to maybe talk about how is technology bringing out the uniqueness of each person living in the home and answering those needs.
Well, first of all, I wanted to comment on the lighting for just a second. And while our industries, the technology industries, design build industries are starting to warm up to this idea of circadian lighting and recognizing how important it is when we're spending so much time indoors to have the physical and psychological and neurological benefits of lighting that mimics the outdoors. But you can also use lighting for different kinds of tricks in the home. For example, in the case of older people or people with neurological problems, framing the doors with LED lights helps them keep balanced and straight ahead and stable. Or else also for those who are not inclined to eat, who don't have an appetite, using light to focus attention onto the kitchen at certain times, and also to make food look more appetizing, which is really important. But I think, you know, in our industry, I think there's a lot of wellness being considered, wellness-related technologies being considered for old people, whereas I don't think we're really aware of all the health benefits of bringing nature indoors. And we're starting to see in our industry where the conversations are changing. And you can see everywhere. You can see on the show floor how the conversations are changing. Remember all the HVAC companies, how they used to tout energy management, and it was all about energy management and energy efficiency over in the central hall. And now it's all about indoor air quality and healthy indoor living, and where we would talk about LEED certifications and tight envelopes around the home. Now it's about wellness within the home. But if you look at some of the conversations that we can have now, whereas companies like Time would have the conversation, hey, let's put a little home theater in your bedroom. We can have a miniature little surround sound system. We can automate the lights and the motorized shades. Press one button, you have a little show. Press another one, everything goes to bed, and you go to sleep. Excuse me. Which is not, excuse me, not nearly as appealing as a conversation that might start with, hey, what's that on your wrist? Well, it's a sleep tracker. Well, what's it telling you? Well, it says I sleep like crap. Okay, well, let's look at your daily routines. What time do you go to bed? What time do you wake up? How consistent is that pattern? What does your lighting look like throughout the day? What is your what is your process? What is your family doing? And how about waking up to a sunrise simulation where also you have the sounds of nature, the shades come up, and you have the visuals of nature. Here's some research that shows that this type of scenario can improve your sleep and set you up for the day in a very healthful way. And boom, you're selling the same home theater that you would have sold in the first place, but in a different manner, and in the same way as taking the traditional home theater and instead of selling it as a home theater, selling it as a multi-purpose room where you can press one button for the relaxation mode, another for the rejuvenation mode, and the elements, the video, the audio will simulate nature to provide the mood that you need, or you can press the movie button and watch a movie. So I think these changing conversations are letting us to take advantage of all the things we're already doing, whether it's design or automation, and repackaging it in a more productive manner.
Yeah, I would add to that. I think that when we look back at our projects that are completed, and there are several here on the screen that we're showing today, the best ones are the ones where we know the client. And I mean, know them to the point that we're exchanging holiday cards, they're baking things for our technicians when they show up, or leaving their favorite treats because we know them. And why that's important, and I think that is for anything, whether it's architecture, design, technology, is asking those lifestyle questions like Julie's talking about, really trying to understand. So it's not just, hey, here's a nice package of lighting or of speakers or shades, but you've really peeled back the layers to understand what is the best solution for this client, because it's not one size fits all. It's not even a size run of one jacket. It is a full department store of options. And so finding the right thing for a client elevates the experience and gives them something unique. And so I think that is so important, is having those conversations early on, being observant, seeing, and something, Natalie, that you said in your introduction about not just being excited about things that you're passionate about, but what they like and what's best for them. And I think that having those conversations is when you get to that level.
Well, and ultimately, it's not my home. Yeah. So it doesn't matter what I've suggested or what I think is going to work. It has to actually function and work for them. And it's creating the solutions that are going to enhance and extend their life and to make their experience in their home much better. So that's the biggest difference. Mm-hmm.
We find with ours that we've done hundreds of homes across the country now. No two are the same. They're so completely tailored to that individual.
There's not a cookie cutter solution for every opportunity. So.
And those are the best ones. Those are the ones where you're the most proud and the client is thrilled and happy and just enjoying living in their home.
To Brad's point, I think the key elephant in the room, and when we were at CEDIA and we were talking about this, is a lot of designers get that paralysis by analysis. We're talking to the integrators, we're talking to the smart home people, and we have the why. The why is in everybody's face right now. The message we need is bringing the baby to the client and saying, this is how we're going to do it. And without knowing the tech stuff, a lot of designers feel impaired or inhibited to deliver that message. So the partnership now is more important than ever, that we know that we bring that person in after the warm-up period, because we know in how to act on behalf of our clients' best interests and where they're deficient in their living, their living environment. And we need to enhance that and rise them up and create that safety and that comfort, so that with all the tools that Brad's team would bring in, it coalesces so much easier, right? And then the fear is down and the guard is down and people can go living their lives. Because if any of your clients have to think about pushing buttons and where's this and how do I remember that, it's game over, especially baby boomers. We're not going to be able to bring them in fourth quarter and say, you got to do this. It's going to save you from slipping and falling this year. So this communication and our relationships that are budding now are really going to enhance the wellness of our clients and raise the whole design community up. This is great for everybody here. This is great for everybody in our industry, because the word is going to get out that we're truly not just about aesthetics, we're about enhancing your life and making you safe.
Yeah. In the 30 years I've been doing this, where integrators have really tried to forge productive relationships with interior designers and architects and builders and kitchen and bath designers, I've never seen as much collaboration before, not even close, than I have seen in the past year with this wellness trend. Because wellness is not just about fitness and good food. It's about comfort, and it's about stress reduction. And if you can't control the elements in your home, you're going to get stressed, and that's unhealthy. And to be, the designers are now relying on the integrators more than ever, which are communicating with the builders. And it's because the builders are building the tight homes and the ventilated homes or the unventilated homes. And it's an exciting time to see. Emerald Expositions with NKBA just held its first Design Plus Tech Connection Conference in New York in the winter, in December, I think it was. It was a phenomenal event. They'll keep doing it. But the collaboration I'm seeing around wellness has been unparalleled in my eyes.
I think I would agree. I concur. It's exciting, and for someone who is a graphic designer, I feel like I get more excited when I'm able to work the tech. Honestly, for me, a lot of it is Greek, and I understand a great looking picture on a screen, or that sounds good, that music, but the back end, all the nuts and bolts is a little bit, but working with designers is so rewarding for me. And to your point, I think part of it is that issue of designers are speaking one language, technologists are speaking another. I see myself in our business as being sort of an interpreter, if you will. But we are actually working on a whole new line of resources that will be available online that will be everything from ebooks to video courses, really geared at not only just the homeowner, but architects, designers, specifiers, on how to talk about these things, but also what to ask for. Like, there's so many possibilities. And then you can ask your integrator, hey, what about this? What about that? And that'll be coming online this year.
Wouldn't you agree, though? A lot of the times, it's you don't know what you don't know, right? And one of the really key takeaways of any design project I've ever done is calling that client a year later and saying, "What did I miss? Is there anything about this space that irks you? It doesn't resonate with you. You don't come in and feel joyous because you noticed that one thing that we didn't do or that your friend ended up doing." So with wellness, again, you want to turn over all those stones and present the facets of, hey, listen, let's break it down in layman's terms. You got to remember who you're talking to. You don't want to talk above your client, because then you're out of the match completely. But if we break it down and we say, this does this for you, do you want that? Yes. if you take the time, and I'm talking 20, 30 minutes added to a meeting, you think about that, there's resources online, you're going to enhance that client's life so much better, and you're going to rise above your competition in your area because you're taking time to get to know your clients. We keep talking about it, but it really is important that you reevaluate how you approach new clients and how to service them better, because there's a wealth of information we can provide if we go after it.
But don't you find too that when you come to shows like this and you get exposed to, this product that's like, oh, I didn't see that before, and then you think how that relates back to the wellness. I remember seeing some shower doors that have that grid pattern. Well, it gives any individual, and it's non-age related. You've got severe astigmatism. You don't wear your glasses in the shower. Suddenly, you have a grid door frame that gives you that perspective of where your space is.
Yes.
So little product knowledges like that, the softer surfaces, the matte finishes that are quieter, that kind of take that disruption and that technology down a level, so that when people are in their homes, they're less stressed, they're less anxious because they have that opportunity to disconnect.
You want to disrupt without being disruptive.
Yeah. You want to stay connected, but it want to be optional. So.
Now you mentioned the different surfaces, and that's that's so important. Acoustical comfort and places of refuge are so important for our health and wellness. And the open office space fad just killed us with the distractions and the inability to find peace and privacy. And so building places of refuge where a parent can get away, a child can get away, a worker can get away, and even if that's just you'll see now everywhere these chairs that kind of envelop you, and they're acoustically comfortable. They block some of the noise, but they also offer a little privacy. But it is interesting walking through here. If who here has heard of biophilia or biophilic design? Okay, once you hear it or see it, you're going to see it everywhere, and it's not just about mimicking the natural daylight or mimicking the pure water and pure air that you see in nature, but it's also mimicking the patterns and the visuals that you see in nature.
Recognizable patterns.
Exactly. Yeah. So marble that's flowy, that shows movement and textures, and wood and natural types of things that you would see in the environment, or so, and you look around and you'll see it everywhere. So it's not just about saying there's a wellness product, it's a ventilation system. No, it's like, look at that texture, look at that that flowy tile.
You're good. I'm sorry.
It does. It makes a difference. We, for us, again, we're doing tech, but in our theaters, and we'll see the two theaters here, you kind of see the ceilings, but they're not panels. They are hand-threaded fiber optic. It's all hand done. But then I airbrush a Cosmos on it. But the idea is that when you sit in your seat and you look up, you see that natural pattern. And it is really interesting how many clients come back and say, we spend a lot of time in our theater, and we'll say, oh, well, what are you watching? And they're like, we're not. We're rolling.
Ceiling.
We're sitting back and just relaxing. And we had not expected that. I didn't really expect anyone to enjoy it that way.
Well,
but
there's a great paper by a company called Sky Factory. So fake skylights and fake windows are really important these days. But the context of nature, and to be able to see a virtual horizon line in the blue cloud and the blue sky can have a huge impact on health and wellness. Even if it's all completely fake, the context is important, and those simulated skies can have a very.
I feel like
impactful.
We're seeing a nice crossover too. There's an opportunity. I know a lot of commercial designers who are now dipping back into residential because they really set the tone for ambiance. You go to a hotel in New York City, San Francisco, here in Las Vegas, you see things that you're not used to looking at. Some of them are very disruptive and they make you feel uncomfortable, and you're like, yeah, I don't want to eat here. I'm not interested in sitting here. The speaker's loud, whatever. Bad design, right? But then you go to places and you're like, I'm not even thinking about it. I just feel so welcomed. I feel calm. My heart's not racing after that cab ride. And you feel that sense of being one. So when we have the opportunity to do that in someone's home, we can see how we can tie in these commercial elements that really are more commercial elements into the residential, and people just feel without having, it's not a cognitive process, it's just intuitive. You just come in and you know this is the right space for me. Someone took the time to consider my needs and maybe things that were unspoken and present me with options that truly make my life better in this home.
You know, you're seeing in hospitality and office spaces as well a whole new conversation around wellness. You know, a hotel with a good wellness program would have a good gym, maybe, you know, instructors and healthy food. And that's like, no, don't do that. I mean, the new wellness conversation is clean air in the room, motorized shades and lighting that allow you to go to bed in the right, you know, with the right lighting, the temperature that is comfortable and controllable. And that's the new wellness. And in the hospitality industry, wellness, people who travel for wellness travel spend 150% more than other travelers. And so in the office space, you'll see headlines everywhere where the old programs of, you know, gyms in the office space and discount, you know, insurance discounts if you have a gym membership, and Fitbits that tell you how terribly static you've been, and you know, and having apples available. That's not wellness anymore. It's fresh air, it's good lighting, it's controllability, it's places of refuge. It's completely changed.
Yeah. Brad, you would know too, from the automation standpoint, how we're trying to make things from sunrise to sunset, that you just go about your day and you're not thinking about hitting an app on the phone or whatever. It's already taken care of.
And that is definitely the direction things are going. It's not just home automation. It's not just technology. It is an intuitive, interactive living space. Yeah. It's kind of like what you were talking about, Natalie, walking in. And this is I have a client with a home like this, and I love it. You walk into the restroom, their powder room, and the occupancy sensor that people like us would install bring up the lights. They bring it up slowly, so it's not jarring. So even if you're just a guest in someone's home, it makes it easier. You're not like, where are those switches? It's just intuitive. We're seeing more and more of that technology that can even sense where you are in the home and who you are. It can recognize your individual voice and adjust settings to that room just on that. You talk about you know, things like the grid on the shower, and how that's maybe not something that someone is consciously thinking about, but it does affect it affects their wellness. It affects how they feel. It's that keeping you in your sense.
The safety, the sense of safety and protection.
And as a designer, you listen to those cues. And again, having that hard conversation with somebody who's 30 is probably not going to go anywhere. Even to something, you know, with individuals that are in their 40s or 50s. And I find if you just listen, and I include many, many things into designs intuitively without needing to have that conversation, that there will come a time in the life of their home and their client that they will find that, oh, that's really helpful. You know,
that was a good point you made about the younger generation too, because if they haven't experienced the pain, there's no motivation for change.
Well, the word to use with the younger generation is mindfulness. It resonates now. Do you do yoga? Do you meditate? Any of that? And the whole mindfulness angle I've found really resonates with the younger audience, and you can incorporate those types of conversations.
But still, they don't want to. They're not getting older.
You know, I know what you're saying, because I'm not a boomer, I'm not a millennial, I'm right in between, but I'm at that point where my eyesight is noticeably not what it was, and so this is the first time someone's talked about something in your home that is based on that, and I thought, you know what, maybe I need a shower door like that for, not maybe right now, but down the road.
There are just some intuitive elements that you can put into design. Large closed handles that don't catch your like. I'm not particularly, you know, that dexterous at times, and you overload your arms, it never fails, and you walk into a room and your pocket catches on the handle as you're walking by, and next thing you know, you've either ripped your clothing or you've tripped and fall or you've dropped everything that was in your arms. So it's kind of a pain. You know, accessible storage is another big thing, bringing storage out. And, you know, as things change in life and situations, and I mean, it can happen at any time. Unfortunate events, car
That's a great
accidents, whatever. It doesn't necessarily need to be disease. It can be just circumstance. But making things simple and easy to grasp, to reach, to, to access, it does improve life quality at any age.
I think this also mirrors, our cultures, right? Eastern medicine, very preventative, founded, daily care for your whole body, your mind. And in design, we see things now where it's like we're going for the now, and this color's trending, and this is fun, and I have the new product from this company, and a new faucet, or what have you. But there's a famous quote by a very distinguished athlete named Mike Tyson. It says everybody's got a plan until they get punched in the mouth. So my point is,
Such a spokesperson.
if you break your right arm, can you imagine having to do personal hygiene in the bathroom daily if you're right-handed? So we have advances with different products in different features and design to where we can design for worst-case scenario. It's not a morbid thought. We're just saying, listen, if you are at risk for breaking a bone, or you're clumsy, maybe that's just your thing. You bump into things. You have hardware that reaches your pockets, and you constantly tear your pants. Whatever it has, we have the ability now to kind of pinpoint these things, point them out, and say we're going to alleviate all those problems. You can get up. You can navigate through your home. You don't have to worry about a thing. You can use the shower. You can use the toilet. If you have a tub, you can get in and out because we have grab bars, because we have these lighting and non-slip flooring surfaces. So case in point is we have the tools available to do this.
More so now than ever.
We just got to do it, right? And for people who might not want to hear it, you lay it out for them. Listen, they're the boss. They're going to do what they want to do most of the time. But if you at least suggest and give some founded information, you're going to be more successful at making these projects more cohesive, being able to work with the integrators and tie in the technology that we have at our disposal so that they will be able to enjoy life and be safer.
Yeah.
You said something interesting, Michael, earlier that ties into this. I feel like we're dancing around this conversation of you don't know what you don't know. And as we're all talking, there's all these ideas coming out. And I had no idea about the shower doors, and this technology and these interfaces. And what kinds of conversations should the audience be having before the client with the integrator, with the designer, depending on who is which? And then how do they prepare to have that knowledge to then ask those questions to the client?
I think a lot of it has to do with exposing yourself and being open to the knowledge. I attended CEDIA last year, and it was mind blowing, and it was so embracing to to hear biophilia, to hear the circadian rhythm, to understand that there are processes that can really enhance and make life better. And we live in such a connected world with constant stimulation that being able to integrate things into your home that can reduce that can calm that, whether it's air quality, airflow, lighting temperature, those sort of things. It really is embracing. So just being a sponge, and there's so much out there, and just embracing all of it.
I would agree with that. I think you have to be, what we want to avoid with any client is we don't want them coming back a year later, 2 years or down the road and say, I wish I'd known about this.
Yeah.
And so we tell every client, pre-wire, pre-wire, pre-wire. Like if we could have that tattooed all over ourselves, we would. Meaning plan ahead. The wire's the cheap part. So we just try and get wire everywhere in the home. But so they don't maybe want TV or digital art in this part of the room right now, but they may down the road. But I think, yes, exposing yourself, going to CEDIA was, weren't you the one that talked about, Natalie, on going to the Josh AI booth and experiencing the Ketra lighting? And that was, for those of you who weren't there, Josh AI is a luxury voice control system, but it's but it's really privacy-based. So you're not going to get ads in your feeds the next day from your conversation you had privately with someone. But it's also really on another level. But they had a wonderful demo at CEDIA involving Lutron's Ketra lighting, which is a low-voltage solution that does the tunable lighting, but also does the RGB, meaning it can change color. And I never asked, let me know if you felt this way. I knew that was a possibility, but I never thought that'd be something I wanted. And then as soon as they turned that on and all the lights started changing color, I thought, oh, I have to have this in my home.
Well, and their ability to tweak, not even really change, but to tweak the lighting to enhance your artwork.
Yes.
For me, that was like,
That was mind-blowing.
that's so cool.
Well, and they asked us, we were there with our video crew, and so they said, would you mind videotaping this? And we're going to put it on our YouTube, Time Homes on YouTube, and I'll try and get that out next week. But you can see that. We tried to capture that moment where they had a light on a piece of artwork, and they adjusted, they call it vibrancy, but basically they could bring it up. But it was mind-blowing for me. I had read about it, but to actually experience it, and now I want that in my home. My dream home will have that.
Savant, which is a home automation company that actually just acquired the Noon Smart Lighting Company, has a really great demo that's kind of portable, and they have it in their booth upstairs that has all these different textures and colors in a box, and you can demonstrate what different color temperatures and different lighting intensities do to different textures and different colored material, surface material. So it's a great demo to see the impact.
It really is. You never. I think we're so used to lighting just being kind of, you have some cove lighting, you have your cans, maybe you have some up lighting, everything. But being able to change the color temperature, being able to change the vibrancy, changes everything. And it's more of a palette. It's more like bringing the quality of theatrical lighting into a residential, and it's fun. Again, if it brings you joy, if it makes you laugh, if it brings you back to your center.
If it helps you sleep better.
That's wellness.
It might just be something you can't even explain. You just feel better.
You just feel it.
I just talked to someone yesterday who said they stayed at a Staywell hotel for like 3 nights, and they just felt good. It's not something they could explain. If they didn't know it was a Staywell hotel, they would have walked out saying, God, I just feel good. I don't know why, but it was the fresh air. It was the circadian lighting. It was the controllability of things, which decreases stress. And you don't even know it, but it feels good.
Yeah, and bad design is disruptive to your psyche.
It is.
The example of like where they put things in the hotel rooms, and you're kind of like, why did they do that? Makes no sense.
And you maybe can't put your finger out, but you feel it.
It's disconcerting.
Yeah.
It's really...
Yeah, like a switch out of place or the absence of a switch, and you have to walk all the way over here to turn on the light. And hotel rooms are notorious for that.
Right. Now, with older people, that's
a hazard.
multiply that by 10 times, and the frustrations of not being able to participate in your own life can be really detrimental to your health.
For sure.
And as the aging population keeps aging, the amount of light needed in the room is inherently like multiplied, like 3 times more for a 60-year-old than a 20-year-old individual in the same home. So activities of daily living can actually be inhibited if they can't see what they're doing, or maybe they undercook their meat on the stove. There's functionality to it. There's health and safety concerns. Tripping, we talked about going to the bathroom. Now a lot of things, I know Julie, we had talked about this at Design Tech, about like motion sensing. You put your feet down off the bed, the light comes around the base of the bed. Or you have runner lights, LEDs in the hallway, on the stairs, if you have to go stairs to a bathroom in the middle of the evening.
But critically, that lighting should come on in a circadian manner. So if it's in the middle of the night, it should come on very dim. If it's in the middle of the day, it should come on very bright.
Sure, the tunability's there.
And it's only been really in the past year that I've seen some real progress in the algorithms for circadian lighting, where you can program a whole house to turn on the lights at lower color temperatures, lower intensity, when you walk, to light up a pathway in the middle of the night versus during the day. And you can see those algorithms here at the Legrand booth and the Delos booth, DELOS. Savant has some good algorithms. And We've seen circadian lighting in the workplace, and the research shows it improves productivity and wellness and all of that. But it's been slow to take off in the home because it's not as homogeneous. Our schedules change. There's different people coming and going. We wake up at 5 one day, 7 the next day, have to stay up late. And so some of these algorithms coming out of the home automation companies are really helping that, restore our circadian rhythms within the home.
I'd say a comment we often hear from designers, maybe some of you in the audience can feel this way as well, is you were talking about all the things that tech can do, is they've had bad experiences in the past. The industry has had bad moments, and no, never, right? and clients have had to pay for it, and you've had the backlash. How is technology changing? You mentioned algorithms to where people aren't overwhelmed with technology in their home. There isn't a million apps. There isn't only one person who can run it. Like, how has that shifted to where now it's a more wellness approach?
Integrators.
Oh, no, please go ahead.
Integrators.
Control4.
There's specialists like you that we don't have to know all. We have a team that we can pool from, and that's the biggest thing, is that the changes have required specialization, and it's that specialization that allows you to bring the best for everybody in every area. So.
Yes, and I think one of our most important jobs as an integrator, as a home technologist, is to understand that client, understand the uniqueness of their lifestyle, and find that solution. There was a period a few years ago where you could buy all these different smart items and install them in a home, but they all had a different app, and it was overwhelming and unpleasant. And we're seeing a real shift back to the single app home, or it's voice control. Generally, most homes will have multiple ways to interface, so you can interface the way you want to and not feel like you have to do it with this or have to do it with that. But again, I think it goes back to the listening to the client. The best home technology is going to be when we've listened to the client and we have come up with something that's truly custom and unique to them and their lifestyle.
And many of the problems have come from the inability or the the lack of communication between all the different trades. And we're seeing home technology integrators get their ALA certifications. We're seeing designers going to CEDIA. We're seeing integrators come to KBIS and the Builders Show.
Product knowledge is critical for any design trade. Mm-hmm. We have to know what we're dealing with, what we're introducing to our clients. Right.
And and knowing what conversations to have.
Correct.
Yeah.
Well, and as you were talking about automation and like the multiple apps, if you're doing all these different things and you're like, what controls what? Right now we're at the point with social media where it's, least amount of clicks wins. So whatever app is like one button and then I can take my picture and it's posting, like that's your go-to. So likewise with technology, I want to poll the audience real quickly. You've gotten a new television or stereo system. How many here have actually read the manual? There you go. So case in point, no one does. If it's not intuitive, if we don't have good instruction, if we don't have good support from the integrators or from our vendor partners, then the customer's just going to, resent you for talking them into buying that product. So it's not only just what it does for you, but it's the usability and the changeability. And as our lives, as we have to adapt and have that technology change with us to enhance our wellness, our new wellness that we need, that we didn't necessarily need back then because there's new pain and dysfunction, whatever the issues are we're dealing with. How is that going to actually happen, right? That's the key. I think that's a key.
It is, and it's an area in our industry that I think we recognize that there's been room for improvement, whether it's product, whether it's integrator, whether it's user manuals. We share the frustration when things are not intuitive for our end user, or even for us for that matter. And one of the things that we've tried to do is, I think that a lot gets lost in the technobabble. It's all very important information, but you just kind of see someone's mouth moving, but you're not really taking it in because it's so deep.
Overload.
Yeah, and I have one brother who is, he's called the wizard by his friends in the industry because he's so almost a beautiful mind. And then my other brother, who is a self-avowed non-techie, and his job is kind of distilling this. How do I take all of this and make it understandable to the lay user? And he's the guy you see on our YouTube channel who does, talks about all the different things. But it's been really positive for us. We get calls from all over, not only the nation, but we'll get calls from Africa. We get calls from Europe. People who saw a YouTube thing and something finally clicked because of the way it was explained. And so I think that is an area that we are getting better at as an industry. Control4 is very good at this. If you see their magazines, if you don't get their Home Smart Home, you can get that free on their website. But they do a wonderful job of distilling it down, breaking it down, and talking more about the lifestyle than this has, 5.7 gigawatts, blah, blah, blah. It makes a little more sense, and they're very good at that.
I think production home builders in the past year have done a grave disservice to the smart home ecosystem. The big production builders used to have partners in their regions, integration partners in their regions to work with, and now, the biggest production builder basically drops off a mass market home automation hub. And, the electrician installs one automated light switch and someone else hangs one smart TV. They call it a smart home, and they pull out all and they don't pre-wire for anything except for one coax, and they call it a smart home. And that's my soapbox right now, and I'll leave it at that because it makes me really angry.
I agree. I think that has sort of, it's a, for lack of a better term, it's sort of a fast food solution, but a Big Mac is not a filet mignon in terms of experience, and if that's what you're looking for. But yeah, I think that has been.
And they leave it in the box, and the customer never uses it, and then the customer says home automation is stupid.
Yeah, and so it's the whole education, learning about products. A good friend of ours, Emily, is out there. She's an interior designer from Boise. We love her, but she has opened our eyes to different things from a design standpoint that we just never knew. And I think that's that thing you're trying to help the client understand. This is what's possible for you. These are the options available to you. And when they see that, they go, oh, okay, that's what I want. That works for me.
But you're looking for that.
Correct.
Yeah.
That's exactly
because people don't know what they don't have and what's going to make their life easier. And, to try and, you constantly spend educating. I select this product, this style for this reason.
There's features and benefits for every
Exactly. So when they don't realize that they could have something that would, eliminate that pesky task that they have to do. So that's the biggest thing is being able to educate, and you can't educate if you don't learn yourself. So it's forever evolving.
I think in our industry, and I know for me personally, our industry has been installing lighting controls for 40 years, home automation system lighting controls. And, I don't think ever until the past 2 years, our guys would ever even consider working with a lighting designer, a lighting specialist. Why would they need them? You've got your cans and your fans, and we can automate them. And I would never consider spending money on a lighting designer. I mean, what could they possibly bring to the table? One 15-minute presentation showing the benefits of layered lighting, and I'm like, sign me up. And I'll write a check. I mean, a compelling demo can just do it all. And integrators are definitely waking up to this. For the first time, they're working with lighting designers actively. The big buying groups in our industry are employing lighting designers to work with integrators. And likewise, lighting designers are coming to our industry. It's the conversations we're all having together, again, that's super exciting.
You can't always take a client to a lifestyle center, like at the Savant Center in New York City, right, with the demos. But to have our integrator partners and people in the industry that have prolific amounts of content on YouTube, things that we can sit down on a tablet or even on our phone and show a client that might not be mobile and say, hey, listen, here, this is exactly what I'm talking about, because I can't present it to you in your home. Sometimes we have mobile demo kits, but what's that really going to benefit to them? So seeing things sometimes on a screen and video.
This was a
testimonials.
PowerPoint that I
Yeah.
saw remotely, and like
Whatever.
just showing. I mean, it was.
But again, it's graphical, and
Yeah.
to them, it's tangible.
Yeah.
So that's your demonstration. If it's not hands-on, if it's not fully immersive,
Yeah.
but we need that content. And I think the key thing now is for you integrators and everyone out there in Control4, right? You guys do a really good job about posting things, telling us, hey, where do we find this content? If you're going to pit 30-second elevator pitch this to your client, what are the feature and benefits you need the most? Or talk with them and say, I would show them this video, and this video to get them broken in. And then let's set up an appointment and come out and actually meet with you guys. And I think that we can really form a better partnership.
I watched an architect panel, sorry, and you know, the whole conversation is integrators. How can we get your attention? And,
Correct.
among other things, it's like we're visual people. We think
Yes.
visually. Show us.
I want to open it up to questions at this point because I think that how do we continue this conversation that we're all having is really important. So either, does anybody have any questions, or where would you guys recommend going on the show floor to recommend to go continue this conversation? Questions?
There's one over there.
Oh, over there.
Ooh, the Oprah mic.
How do you find talent? You know, if you're in a town that doesn't have much talent, if you're trying to do a project and you want your lighting to be layered, as you said, but where do you find the talent to? I mean, is this something you would do over the internet? Or can people do it from somewhere else?
Well, for lighting control, I can tell you, go to CEDIA upstairs, CEDIA. That's the trade association for the Home Technology Integration Channel. And then there's obviously lighting design organizations. There's the American Lighting Association, ALA, the IEALD or something. Independent lighting designers. But I would start with CEDIA. And because integrators are working so closely now with lighting designers,
What is
you can
CEDIA?
get a double whammy on that one.
CEDIA?
CEDIA.
Oh.
They're up there, and most of the technology is centered around the CEDIA booth, and they're giving talks as well. It's a great place to start.
That's a very good question, though, as well. Yeah, CEDIA would be my first stop. I know we have a lighting designer we work with who's based out of LA, and we're kind of working with him to possibly maybe make his services available with our consulting services nationwide. But yeah, if you look around, you should be able to find someone. But CEDIA is a great place to start.
Also, there's 3 main buying groups within the home technology industry, and they're all working intimately with the lighting design community as well as other wellness type of technologies like indoor air quality, sleep, that kind of thing. And I'll tell you what they are, and if you want information on how to contact them, you can come up after. HTSA, Home Technology Specialists of America. ProSource is the other one, and Azione, AZIONE, are the 3 buying groups, and they're all definitely great resources.
As a member of the National Kitchen Bath Association, you're able to, on their national site, they have professional locator services. And is my mic working? You guys hear me all right? You can actually select which disciplines you're proficient in. So if you're looking in your area, and you might see some people, and they might have a couple qualifications, but maybe someone was a lighting specialist, or they're, architect or something like that, and they have experience. So you could start at the top and then kind of fizzle down into your demographic area, or maybe an adjacent state, and somebody's willing to work remotely and then provide you with their buying power in your area. Not all of us have the best professionals around, so thanks to technology, we can be resourceful, with the internet and locating.
Any other questions? Oh, how much time do we have for questions? This is the last question, so you can come up after.
Want to fight?
Rock, paper, scissors.
This is less of a question and more of a comment, but I would love to see brands like Control4 doing more to reach out to designers and offer education and experience, bring us into your world and show us what's really possible. We are all about solving problems for our clients and helping them live their best life. And the more we know about what's possible, the better able we'll be to convey that
Yeah.
So if I may,
Go ahead.
Control4 has a certified showroom program. There are dozens
Over
around
300 around the world right now.
around the world, and
And they're more than happy to sit down with you, because I've done it twice. Sat down
Absolutely.
one-on-one with my guy.
And one of the criteria to be a certified showroom is to have certain design elements in it. So these are companies and showrooms with a strong design element. But the other key home technology manufacturers, Savant, Crestron, Legrand, who am I missing? They all have showrooms, basically at least on the east and the west coast, Lutron and Lighting. And so if you go to your main vendors, most of them have really strong showrooms with very strong staff that can walk you through
Well, and
the opportunities.
And if I could build on that, there's also some great print resources. Control4.com, you can go there, you can sign up for Home Smart Home, which is more end user focused, I would say, than say my people focused. It's a great resource. ConnectedDesign.com, they have a periodical that comes out that is more end user focused, but focusing more on the design.
And just to wrap this up, we also do Control4 has CEUs that we do bring to the NKBA chapters as well as IDCEC Association. So we are happy to bring that education. And if you would like to continue the conversation, please come up and chat with us. But we need to get off the stage. So thank you all so much for your time.
I will say one more thing is that I did a full hour-and-a-half biophilia and wellness technology presentation yesterday. So if anyone wants a copy of that, come see me afterwards.
Nice.